The arrival of the actor. At that moment, Baek and Choi appear. Everyone approaches them and asks whether they came to recruit Zun, but they limit themselves to saying that they did not come for him since they do not even know him at all, so all the reporters withdraw. Both of them realize that the other one came to recruit Jinwoo, so between them they turn competitive and almost end up kissing each other. At once, Lim Tyu appears, an S-rank hunter and leader of the Soul Reaper Guild, who asks whether they also came from Minzun. They, already fed up with hearing that name, very angry, shout in chorus that they do not give a damn about that so-called Min-kun Mishifus or whatever his name is. On his side, our protagonist witnesses all this uproar and cameras and ends up confused. Meanwhile, at Gina's school, her classmates are watching the press conference of the actor Minsun, where everyone calls him a womanizer and controversial, asking whether he will apologize publicly. But the smug fellow, right there in front of the cameras, mentions that he will fight in the Soul Reaper Guild. The paparazzi ask whether he will leave the world of show business, despite not even knowing his rank. He only smiles, flattering the audience, saying that even if he obtains a low rank, he will give his life to help the guild and people in trouble, something that not even he himself believes. Because backstage, he reveals to us that he plans to work as a hunter for only 2 years, so that everyone forgets his scandals, since in reality he already evaluated himself in advance and was classified as A rank, thus blatantly lying to his public. For his part, Jinwoo tries to enter, but one of Minsun's security guards does not let him through. That is when President Go appears and calmly warns the guy that he is nobody to block the way without permission, also pointing out that Sung Jinwoo is his guest and not that young fellow called Michifus, emphasizing that this press conference had already been canceled. Our Zun obeys and goes in, while Jin Chul guards the door. Minzun, seeing his plans ruined, tries to tell our dear supervisor that he will get into trouble if he does not let him enter, since he is someone very famous. Our blonde, utterly indifferent, replies that he is unaware of his presence, but if he causes trouble, he will have to detain him, frightening the actor, who completely soils himself in fear. Inside the Hunters Association, Baek and Choi receive our sharp-looking supervisor. Upon seeing them, Go-gun-hee knows that he must interest them in the power of the new S-rank hunter, since none had appeared for 2 years. So they enter a high-security room, because they are going to verify his abilities as a hunter before performing his reevaluation. They ask our protagonist what kind of power he has. Our boy proceeds to pull out a shadow, with which the interviewer understands that he uses summoning magic, something Jinwoo, somewhat hesitant, confirms. However, President Go-gun-hee knows that this is not everything, since he received the report from manager Gookin Chul. With this, Sung Jinwoo resigns himself and summons part of his shadow army, mentioning that he can summon 100 more. The tremendous magical power emanating from him reaches even outside, overwhelming Choi and Baek, who are left stunned by the hunter's immense power. After a short while, his reevaluation ends, and they hand him his new license as an S-rank hunter. Our Jinwoo is happy, since now he can sell the Orb of Avarice without raising suspicion, and above all, he will buy equipment with that money, so he can finally complete the Demon Castle. At that moment, President Go mentions that he is now officially an S-rank hunter, and that is why he is intrigued to see what he will do with his power. We then see our youngster leaving the place. Near the door, Choi and Baek greet him with smiles, making offers for him to join their guilds. Jinwoo passes between them and says he is sorry that he has plans, but when he opens the door, the paparazzi immediately record him live, titling the news as the 10th S-rank hunter of Korea. Hwang Dong-soo sees this on his phone, notifies Gina, and she is utterly stunned. At the same time, the former minor co-workers of our protagonist also see it on their phones, and the bully, upon learning that Jinwoo is S-rank, completely soils himself in fear. Lee Joo-hee, Jinwoo's friend, also finds out through television, but unlike many others, she feels genuinely happy for him. And yes, Chae-haen and Baek Yeon-ho also learn about it. The entire press conference ignored Lim Minzun, focusing instead on the new S-rank hunter, since none had appeared for 2 years, the last one of that rank being Chae-haen. Elsewhere, Jin-ho meets with his father and informs him that he could not convince Jinwoo. A small flashback is shown. After Jin-ho proposed that he join his guild, Sung Jinwoo rejected it, explaining that he still had things to do on his own and that belonging to an organization would slow him down. Instead, he asked Jinho to follow him. Yes, our Jinho would form a guild in which Jinho himself would be the vice president. Upon hearing this, his father gets angry, reminding him that he himself interfered, confident that he could handle the guild, and now he simply wants to abandon it and leave. Jinho, remembering the good moments with Jinwoo, apologizes to his father, since he will follow Sung Jinwoo anyway. The old man understands and tells him to assume responsibility from now on, proceeding to cut off all his money and throw him out of the house. Returning to our protagonist, the crowd keeps piling up, since everyone wants to interview the new S-rank hunter. Bike, seeing this, proposes escorting him home, but Jinwoo says it is not necessary, and in an instant he appears on the other side, surprising Choi, but even more so Bike, who now realizes that he is stronger than the last time he saw him. Still, our boy leaves quickly because he needs to equip himself. Thus, he arrives at a hunter's auction. Jinwoo asks for an artifact that blocks fire, because he wants to protect himself from the heat in a dungeon. Hearing this, the seller recommends a cloak along with a ring, both easily equipable. Jinwoo likes them, but upon seeing the price, he gets scared and asks whether they do not offer discounts. The seller apologizes, since the listed prices are fixed, though he mentions that if he manages to break the crystal, they can give it to him for free, emphasizing that they use a crystal specially reinforced with magic, which not even A-rank hunters can damage. While they keep bragging about the crystal, our madman takes it seriously and uses a bit of his strength, but the seller stops him, saying he was only joking, since even if it did not break, any tremor would alert public security. Our protagonist apologizes, but the seller bows his head and apologizes as well, aware that he should not have joked about that. Jinwoo then asks to see daggers, and another seller takes him away, while the first one notices that the crystal is cracked, even though Jinwoo did not even touch it. Jinwoo asks about the price of a dagger, noticing that it is very similar to Kasaka's Venom Fang. The seller gives him the amount, and upon hearing it, Jinwoo realizes that it has poor cost-performance value. He then takes a knife out of his item box, hands it to the seller, and asks how much that would cost. The man, praising the finely detailed craftsmanship, says it would be worth 10 million. This shocks Jinwoo greatly, since it only cost him 2 million gold, making him realize that if he can sell at that price, he could build a tremendous business, and maybe even keep the Orb of Avarice. He stores the knife and asks permission to go to the bathroom, taking advantage of that to leave without buying anything. Elsewhere, Bak Yeonho is thinking about Jinwoo. He remembers the magical power he perceived the first time he saw him, and compared to their second meeting, the difference was enormous. Thus, he discards the idea of a second awakening, and instead considers the possibility that Jinwoo is a hunter capable of continuously evolving. In another panel, we see the apartment building where our protagonist lives. His little sister, seeing that the press has left, feels relieved, knowing she can finally go to school. She notices Jinwoo and scolds him, telling him that if he appears on TV, he should behave and not attract bad attention. He is surprised, but also tells her that tomorrow he will leave again for a week. Gina asks the reason, but someone knocks at the door. It is Jinho, presenting himself as Jinwoo's loyal companion. Of course, upon seeing his sister, he does not miss the chance to greet her. Taking advantage of his friend being there, Jinwoo tells his sister that tomorrow he will leave with him to work for a week, which Jinho has no choice but to confirm, as Jinwoo firmly squeezes his shoulder to make him comply. At night, the guest sleeps in another bed in Jinwoo's room. Even so, our protagonist worries about his sister's safety, since although the PR people left for today, it still concerns him. Thus, he summons the 4 orc guards, but only 3 appear. He asks about the missing one, and another signals that after the blow, it got embedded in the ceiling, so he could not extract its shadow. Jinwoo does not really care, since the 3 are very strong. He assigns them the task of protecting his little sister, while he goes up the building and summons part of his shadow army, sending them to patrol and protect her from the surroundings, also contributing a bit to society. In another panel, over the sea near an island, a flying ant can be seen passing through the area. Returning to our protagonist, riding in Jinho's car, he thanks him for letting him stay over and tells him everything that happened with his father. Jinwoo mentions that it was not necessary to leave his house, but Jinho replies that he is simply assuming his responsibility. Jinwoo asks what job he has at the tower, and Jinho summarizes that, in short, he is going to train. This amazes his friend since he knows Jinwoo is already S-rank, though he is also happy, as it is something expected of him. Jinwoo gets out of the car and says goodbye. Appearing now in the Demon Castle, He equips his wind cloak and water ring, so now at last he is prepared for the heat. The system informs him that he has a mission to collect demon souls. His task is to defeat the demon monarch Baran and collect his soul, in exchange for the shadow extraction rune. This excites Jinwoo even more. He moves to floor 76. Meanwhile, at Jinho's father's house, his mother is worried, not expecting her son to leave home. His father says they must respect his decision to leave the nest, but at that moment he collapses. We return to Jinwoo, who encounters a Titan-sized demon. He summons Tusk, gives him the Orb of Avarice, and orders him to exterminate the monster. Tusk charges an enormous fireball and fires it, disintegrating the demon's limbs. The most astonished is Jinwoo himself, realizing he must think carefully about when to use Tusk's abilities. Still, he is sure that he will give the Orb of Avarice to him. Back at Jinho's father, now in the hospital, his wife tells him that their son came to visit him. He only says it was fatigue, but the doctors reveal that he has eternal slumber, the same disease Jinwoo's mother has, which starts with sleep attacks until the person never wakes again. Jinho's father asks how he caught it. The doctor explains that it may have manifested due to prolonged exposure to magic with low resistance, asking whether there are hunters in his family. This frightens his wife, but he calms her and tells the doctor that his son is a hunter. After the doctor leaves, Jinho's father becomes thoughtful. He knows the world is filled with magic everywhere, and if he cannot tolerate it, it means the world itself is leaving him behind, and he clearly does not intend to lose. Elsewhere, while hunters patrol, they encounter a red flying ant that managed to arrive alive. Returning to Jinwoo, he explains that he formed 6 groups to cover the entire area efficiently while ascending the floors, giving them only 2 orders. The first was to split into groups and defeat every enemy they see, and the second to notify him if they find an entry permit. With this plan, he gives up potential items but can climb floors faster. Yet not everything goes well. He has spent 2 days on floor 80, wondering if there is a reason. He notices his mana dropping drastically, assuming someone is destroying his shadows. This surprises him, since he did not expect a superior demon to handle high orcs. After investigating, he realizes that after eliminating the high orcs, they went after the B-rank orcs. Jinwoo deduces they follow a pattern, attacking only groups they can defeat. Thus, he predicts the next target and rushes there, becoming a spectator of the humiliation of the Care Bear Little Bears. He decides to make his presence known, kicking one away in a single strike, dodging attacks in the flashiest way possible, and slicing the other 2 into pieces, leaving only one superior demon. With a terrifying stare, he asks whether monsters also feel fear. The demon retreats in terror, and Jinwoo says he finally has his answer. They continue fighting. Jinwoo easily dodges her attacks, even grabbing her with one hand, and when he is about to gouge her eyes out, she surrenders, begging him to spare her life. This shocks Jinwoo. He removes her helmet, revealing a humanoid demon. She only pleads for mercy. Disgusted, Jinwoo asks if she begs after attacking him and with all her comrades dead. She replies that the duty of knights is to protect their lord, and as long as she lives, they are satisfied.